touch.
It's not acceptable that Tracy is doing the race like this, you know. So, I mean, guys to behave a little bit better.
All right, contact on the way on pit road. Jourdain's in the wall.
Paul just came out of the pit lane and understeered right up into him. Michelle was very, very, very disappointed.
When he's not doing good, he just doesn't think.
Now, round 7, Vancouver.
I'm alone to myself. I'm alone to myself.
Bridgestone presents the Champ Car World Series powered by Ford. Today, the Champ Car Grand Prix of Vancouver. Another beautiful afternoon in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. We're at Pacific Place for the 7th round of the 2004 Champ Car World Series Championship season. Falls Creek right behind the race course here. Fans have turned out in droves once again. Weekend attendance of more than 150,000 here at Pacific Place for the 15th renewal of this great event. Hello again, everyone. I'm Rick Benjamin. Great to have you with us today for coverage of the Champ Car World Series. 2 weeks ago in Toronto, a wild one. The race won by Sébastien Bourdais, his 3rd consecutive victory. More on that in a moment, but contact everywhere, penalties galore. Even some of the owners ended up yelling at each other. Take a listen.
What you're saying, when he exits and goes over the green and the yellow line, that's bullshit. See the video.
Paul Tracy's team owner, Jerry Forsyth, on the left. Jorge Quintanilla of Michelle Jourdain's group on the right. Tommy Kendall, good to see you again. What do you make of all this?
Well, this sport is fueled by emotion, and it doesn't just stop at the drivers, the crews. You see fights in the pits, and you see even the owners, John, a little bit. Things cool down a little bit. That's what happens at this time of the season.
Now, as we go to the 7th race of the year, do the drivers carry that emotion forward into today?
No question. You know, you might get over it and calm down a little bit, but it only takes one little thing to trigger it, and it takes you right back to where you were before.
Now, we've got a very interesting starting lineup here. Paul Tracy, who was kind of at the nexus of a lot of the controversy, he's on the pole again.
Yeah, and I said in Cleveland, it's going to be interesting to see how he's able to, if he's able to vent this without being able to jaw at the officials like he did in the past. The answer is no. We saw in Toronto it built up, got worse at Cleveland, and there was no outlet. And we saw, I think, a lot of frustration on his part that led to some incidents. Now here, starting up front, Paul Tracy's tough on any day, but when he has his elbows up and feels like he's under attack, Sébastien Bourdais got his work cut out for him if he wants that 4th straight.
Bourdais will line up right behind Tracy as he goes for 4 consecutive wins and a piece of Champ Car history. In the modern era, since 1979, 3 drivers have won 4 straight. As we take a look back, Al Unser Jr. turned the trick in 1990, began at Toronto, went through Vancouver. The great Alex Zanardi in 1998 began his streak at Detroit. Cristiano Damata kicked it off at Monterrey, Mexico 2 years ago and won through Toronto. Bourdais has won 3 in a row, including Toronto, and now goes for 4. Our starting grid powered by Ford. Tracy and his teammate up front.
Tracy's going to be looking for some help from his teammate. Really hopes that Levine can get in front of Bourdais. Bourdais doesn't just have to worry about the teammates on the front row. He's got a real tiger, Mario Dominguez, next to him.
And row number 3 as we take a look. Here's Mimo Gidley in 5th spot.
And Mimo Gidley said, I'd love to see what I can do with a full weekend. He's had a full weekend of practice, and he put it 5th on the grid. In row 4, Bruno Junqueira needing to rebound from a really tough start in Toronto, but with the crash in qualifying not looking good. Alex Tagliani coming from far back, but showing he's a real demon in the opening laps. In row 6, we've got the Rousport teammates, Michel Jourdain, the one guy we saw exhibiting the most emotion when he was taken out by Paul Tracy, needing to get back up front in the championship. Oriol Servia, another guy caught up in an incident with Alex Tagliani, was eliminated early on in Toronto. Row 8, Jimmy Vasser from the podium in Toronto 2 weeks later. They are totally at sea. His comment yesterday, terrible, terrible, terrible. And on row 9, we're getting these two are going to start to be known as a couple if they keep ending up on row 9 any longer. Alex Parafico and Gaston Mazzacane.
Gaston Mazzacane, meantime, has had a problem already. He's gotten into the wall on the warm-up lap and knocked the front wing, and it looks like he's knocked as well the left front corner off of car number 19. So one of the Dale Coyne cars will not make the green today as we take another look. Looks like he might have gassed it on cold tires and turned right into the outside retaining wall as he came through by the auxiliary pits, Derek Daly. We'll try to get a comment from you in just a couple of moments as we see Mazzacane. He's got the Hans device on. He is fine. That was a low slow-speed incident. The former Formula One driver from Argentina joined the Tour a couple of races in this year, taking over from Tarso Marquez in the number 19. And already we've got trouble before we even see our first green flag of the day. Crews out there to take a look. And part of the suspension certainly broken. A new nose cone would fix some of it, but whether they could repair the A-arms and so forth and get him out for a few laps, hard to imagine at this point. Now, this is a track where there have been a lot of incidents. Cars out due to contact, 7 a year ago, 6 early in the century here, 2001 and 2002, 7 in 2000. It's averaged 8 over the last 8 races. Derek Daly, what do you think happened out there?
I can't imagine what team owner Dale Coyne must have said to himself when he saw that unfold on the big screen, which is right across from Dale Coyne's pit. This was pure brain fade by the driver, by himself at the back of the field, attempting to warm up his tires, didn't understand how much turbo boost could be kicked in on cold tires. That is a blunder that the driver must hold his hand up for and say, it was 100% my fault. I'm sorry, boys. What a mistake. And the stat sheet starts already, Rick, before the green flag even goes.
Absolutely. Well, I was passed a note a moment ago here that both of Dale Coyne's cars had something similar happen on the parade lap 1 year ago. So Dale Coyne certainly not a stranger to this sort of misery and disappointment early in the day. So we're not yet ready to go green. Mazzacani taking a walk back with one of the Champ Car safety workers. He'll go behind the wall, and they will collect the number 19 and get it back to the paddock area, see if anything. Look at him smiling and shaking his head.
He can't believe it. He's embarrassed. He'd love to crawl into a hole right now. He's just, I think he's feeling really silly. But that shows, I mean, Gazzo Mazzacani, he's racing Formula One. It's not like he's a rookie in this series, but it's not like he doesn't have any experience. That shows how treacherous a Champ Car is with no electronic traction control on cold tires on a street course is.
Let's take us around, take a look around this racetrack. 12 turns, 1.781 miles. Very fast in places, very tight in others.
And turn 1 is the first problem spot. We saw Bourdais starting in third, same place he started this year, got into a car in front of him, and they've got that tight 1, 2, 3, 4. But 4 heads to one of the longest full throttle stretches that we see all season long, 14 seconds at full throttle.
As the field starts to line back up again, we will take the green and yellow flags together, we're being told by Champ Car officials, to get the time clock started. An hour 45 is the time limit today. They plan to go 85 miles, about 150, or 85 laps, I should say, about 151 miles, the scheduled race distance here today. Rodolfo Levine starts on the outside pole with his teammate Paul Tracy up alongside. And Tom, we talked about this a little before the race got going here today, or before the cars fired. Levine's got a lot of pressure on him, I would think.
He does have a lot of pressure, but I'm sure, like what Paul Tracy told him, I'm sure was, hey, race your own race. You know, you've started a number of these races, but all you can do is all you can do. Find your rhythm, do what you can. Don't just give guys positions, but also by the same token, don't go beyond what you're comfortable doing.
As we watch Tracy lead the field around behind the safety car. Tommy, let's take a look here at our Bridgestone keys to the race.
First one, team tactics, were very familiar. The word of the day is his team in Tour de France. You had U.S. Postal. Every team member's job was to support Lance Armstrong. It's not quite that way in this racing. Rodolfo Levine wants to get his own result. If he can beat Paul Tracy, he will. But I'm sure he will defer to him a little bit, knowing that he's never even seen the front of the field, never seen a green flag without cars in front of him. So that's one of the big things. Avoiding the penalty flags after what happened in Toronto, emotions being as high as they are. You've got to stay out of the penalty box if you want to get a good result here. And going the distance, attrition through contact and mechanical failures, for whatever reason, is significantly higher at this track than any other track we go to. So you've got to take care of the equipment, and you've got to stay away from the silly mental mistakes.
Now, this race being a little bit shorter than some of the other events we have seen this year on the Tour, let's take a look at some race facts here this afternoon. As we mentioned, just more than 151 miles the scheduled distance on this 1.781 mile course. 85 laps is what is planned here today for these drivers and cars, and 2 green flag stops as we had in Toronto.
Yeah, 2 green flag stops, so you only need 3 sets of tires. A lot of these teams have 3 sets of stickers, unused tires, so looking to do that. But the 2 green flag stops, it makes a pretty large fuel window in which the teams can go with different variations and stop on a number of different laps and still make it on 2 stops.
And bear in mind that should we see a lot of caution flags, and certainly based on what's happened before the drop of the green, you might expect that today. We are under a 1 hour 45-minute time clock, and the clock has already started to roll here. So we're looking for green this time by, and it will be a single file start after Mazzacani got into the wall. Here comes Levine coming up alongside Tracy. They will double him up. Green flag is in the air. Glad to have you with us, and we are underway. And Levine gave a lot lot of ground down in turn one.
Bourdais did what he needed to do. He was really worried. He said, I've got to get by Rodolfo so I don't get disconnected from Paul Tracy.
There's the 55 car of Dominguez, the Urdez car, moving into fourth, able to settle down and avoid trouble the first couple of corners. Justin Wilson there, A.J. Allmendinger in Serbia. Guys who had good days include Serbia 2 weeks ago in Toronto. Two lead cars have waved goodbye for now. There's Gidley in fifth in the Rocket Sports of Air Force Reserve car. Big move by Junqueira on the inside, and sixth he gets by Wilson.
Wilson trying to cross back under, but Bruno gives him a little chop move to keep him behind him.
Remember, Junqueira had a suspension failure yesterday, whacked the wall, never turned in a quick lap, and had to start eighth. Junqueira second in the championship. And there is Roberto Gonzalez, the Nextel number 21, one of the PKV cars. Looks like he's got a cut tire. Tire down on that car, Bill Adam.
Yeah, we just got a report there was contact on the opening lap. He radioed into the crew chief, said he probably would have to come in. Doesn't know if there's any suspension damage or not. They're keeping their fingers crossed. It's only a tire right now. We'll let you know as soon as we can.
2 laps are on the board early in the going at Vancouver. Tommy, are you surprised that everyone's settled down into some single file running here?
Not really. It can go one of two ways. Everybody can say, hey, let's take it easy now. Here's a replay of the start. And Levine did not get a very good jump. Bourdais was already next to him before they got to the start-finish line, which is okay. You just can't pass the car in front of you.
Did that have anything to do with the fact that they were single file till they got to the last corner, didn't double up until they came to
get the rows formed up? But that's not an excuse on why Levine shouldn't have been further up alongside Tracy.
Sebastian Bourdais, second spot there. Gonzalez, meantime, on pit road. They're screwing new rubber on that car, getting ready to send him away. Contact with Alex Spirafico, we're hearing, in the first couple of corners once the green flag fell. So Gonzalez 17th, that's last in the running order. Mazzacani done before the green came out. Tracy is your leader. Bourdais in second spot. And he's opened up about 15, 17 car lengths. Third spot belongs to Levine. Dominguez is fourth, then Gidley. Running order at the top of your screen on lap 4. Levine just keeping the car between the walls, which is what he needs to do here in the early going.
He's doing more than keeping the car between the walls. He got, Bourdais got by him on the start, but Dominguez was trying to capitalize, being a little bit more experienced. And not only did he not get by, it looks like Levine is slightly quicker at this point. He's been able to ease away.
Captain Mimo Gidley in 5th position. A lot coming up here later today. A lot more racing. We are very early here in the going. And, of course, the bid by Sebastian Bourdais to try to win 4 straight races. Mimo Gidley will tell you his story, the wild weekend that he has had here. And, of course, Bronte Tagliani will be with us as well later on today. Lots to tell you about in Vancouver.
A lot of guys bring
beautiful women and fast cars. That's what you get at the Molson Indy Vancouver.
Dominguez trying to track down Rodolfo Levine, who started second today. Levine settled back in behind Sebastian Bourdais and is running a very nice third. There's Dominguez in 4th. Well, Dale Coyne has had his troubles as a team owner here the last couple of years, Bill Adam. One car already in serious difficulty.
Yeah, I think the bad luck has just struck unnaturally here. Last year you lost both cars right away. This year one car not even 100 feet down the grid.
Had to remind me, didn't you? Yeah. No, last year was unfortunate. This year, I think a rookie mistake. It looked like he was warming up his tires. We don't know for sure, but television looked like he was warming up his tires and just snapped on him when he was in the back section there.
Now, the other car, too, Oriole, we got a report that he had to change front tires over the start. So is that a little nervousness from the crew?
No, that was fine. That was nothing. He's doing okay now. He's hanging right in there. He's stuck right where he qualified, and we'll just see what happens. He'll run a strong pace all day and see what we can do to get him up.
Well, you heard it there. They're not giving up yet. Let's get back up to Rick.
Al Serbia sitting in 13th spot, unable to make much progress as we watch Mimo Gidley, who is 5th. Sebastian Bourdais, the series points leader. He's won 3 in a row, going to tie a record today if he can win his 4th straight. Right now, though, more than 2 seconds behind Paul Tracy. And Tommy Kendall, the question in his mind is got to be, are the front suspension bits on this car up to the stress that I'm going to put on it today?
Well, drivers are good at being in denial, and once you get into the race car, chances are he's not thinking about that. He's thinking about how hard he can run, and he's more worried with the fact that Paul Tracy is starting to ease away.
The fact that his teammate Junqueira had a failure yesterday, hit the wall during qualifying, doesn't play into it for him today?
I'd be very surprised. Even Bruno Junqueira, who had 2 huge failures of that same sort here a couple years ago, I guarantee in the race he was thinking he wasn't thinking about it. It's just the nature of the mindset that allows you to do this. If you didn't have that kind of compartmentalization of emotions, it'd be hard to get into one of these cars if you had any doubt about whether it was going to hold up.
Riding with Bourdais in the McDonald's #2 from Le Mans, France, age 25, Champ Car's Rookie of the Year 1 year ago, bidding for a championship in just his 2nd year in the series, former F3000 champion. Look at the speed down the backstretch here. This is heading towards 6. Ford telemetry, 10,200 RPMs in 2nd gear there.
Yep.
Wow. You see the amount of push-to-pass time left, about 46, 47 seconds left for Bourdais. He used 16 seconds now. We can see that he is at 44 seconds of push-to-pass time. Tracy has yet to use any push-to-pass time, so he's setting himself up nicely should he get behind later on and need to make a run toward the front. Tracy is your leader. Bourdais by 2.3 seconds in the rears. Then Levine and Mario Dominguez, your top 4. Dominguez, who runs 4th in the Erdez #55. Dominguez started 4th. He's held station so far here, 12 laps into this 85-lap run. With Tommy Kendall, I'm Rick Benjamin. Derek Daly and Bill Adam are on pit road. Bronte Tagliani with us as well this weekend. And there is Mimo Gidley, who's had quite a weekend of activity. He went from here after qualifying yesterday, flew down to Portland International Raceway with the help of his friends in the Air Force Reserve. We'll show you a little bit about Mimo's weekend later on. Climbed into a touring car and came from the back of the grid to finish 11th. Bill Adam, what are you hearing about Mimo's day so far?
Well, so far he's having a ball, which he always seems to do. I mean, this is just one of my favorite stories ever. Not only did he do a great job in qualifying, getting the car 5th in the grid yesterday, he jumped out in his driving suit, is sweaty, not even tired, runs down pit lane, gets a police escort over to Vancouver International Airport. There he gets on a Learjet that had been erased by a bunch of people, flies down to Portland, lands, jumps on a helicopter, and is whisked over to PIR to get to his car 3 minutes before the race is due to start. He has to start last place, which I believe is 23rd, ends up coming 11th overall, gets the Hard Charger Award. I mean, what a sensational job. This guy just simply loves racing with a capital L.
Absolutely, he does. Gidley, one of the great guys in the paddock area. Well, we were fortunate enough to be able to send a camera along with Mimo on his travels yesterday. Let's take a look at what his Saturday was like.
You're all aware that Mimo is going to basically be doing a runner after the race to go do a touring car race in Portland, Oregon. When the session's over, he's going to hop straight out of the car. He's going to go straight down pit lane here. Police car waiting on the other side. Police escort all the way to the private airport. We hop in a plane, hopefully make a 40-minute flight to Portland, Oregon. Gets out of the plane, steps into a helicopter, and flies to the grid.
It was just getting better and better every lap. I just couldn't believe how good it was. It's feeling fast now. Man, it's like golf. Oh, happen to have my favorite aboard this luxury liner. Peanut butter and raisin sandwich. It's made a little thick, but you know, a little extra energy never hurt anybody. Well, we are. I can see the airport in the distance, and we've got about 7 minutes to make it there. See you guys there. Thanks. Snap out of it and go, yeah, that's right, I was somewhere else, and I flew here, and now I'm in this car, so let's go race.
Come on down. Mimo Gidley, our tour guide from Vancouver to Portland and back, and had a great day. Qualified 5th here in the Rocket Sports entry, the Air Force Reserve car. Meantime, for 3rd spot, looked as though Dominguez was going to take a run at Rodolfo Levine there, as we watch race leader Paul Tracy now close in on Alex Spirafico, who is back at 17. Our pictures today coming from our friends at Global TV. They are our host broadcaster. Tracy, of course, on his home turf, his native Canada, but Spirafico another lap down as he hauls it down into turn 1. Levine and Dominguez, that was quite a battle brewing, but let's go back for a second, Tom. A moment ago, we were considering, Tracy, the day he's had. Broke a motor as we watch Bourdais now. Bourdais has moved a little closer to Paul Tracy. He'll swing by Spirafico here on the backstretch as well as he continues to run in 2nd spot. Tracy had that incident yesterday at the close of the session where he got into the wall and it broke a cylinder head on the motor. Now they had to change motor and gearbox combinations here. Does that give him anything to think about today? Is he worried about parts failure, perhaps?
I doubt it. I mean, that's really unusual. I think he was surprised when he heard the post-mortem on that. That's one of Paul Tracy's strengths. He doesn't think too much about any of that stuff. I mean, he's so used to tearing wings off, things like that, and he'll come right back and he drives with the same verve. And one thing he's done a good job of last year, we saw he tear a rear wing off every single weekend in practice. Didn't do it in qualifying, didn't do it in the race. So you know when to take the chances, when not to. And last year, I mean, he's really come into his own as a driver. You have to make those mistakes to know where the limit is. But if you can, in practice, that's when you want to push the limits, find out where the big blocks of time are in the high-risk areas.
Tracy's teammate Rodolfo Levine in the Indec Corona beer car started 2nd, dropped back to 3rd on the drop of the green. Mario Dominguez in the Urdez car right behind him. Good battle. 3rd, 4th, 5th. And here's Carpentier in 6th. Those 4 cars nose to tail, heading from turn 3 to turn 4 here at Vancouver.
And whenever you see a lineup of cars like this, that's generally an indication the guy at the front is probably holding everybody up. And so Levine, he's pulled away early on from Dominguez. And I saw one time he's not nearly as consistent, and that's maybe his Achilles heel right now. He fell back, and then he pulled out again. And then we also saw Dominguez was able to make another run on him. So he's not running the consistent times that everybody else is.
Bruno Junqueira, former points leader, now 2nd in the standings, had problems yesterday. He is 7th. Derek Daly hasn't been able to make much of a move, though, toward the front of the field here today.
No, but this Newman Haas team is pretty happy that the cars are reliable, because there was a bit of a scary moment, as we mentioned earlier, in the dying moments of qualifying yesterday when the right front suspension broke on Bruno's Pacific-Care car. Now, when they brought the car in, they obviously didn't know what was wrong, but you see it right here. Watch over the curb. You must bash the curbs here to go fast, but look at the right front suspension already collapsed. This was a wishbone that was a lightweight material built by Newman Haas, was not able to withstand the pounding of Vancouver. They changed Bruno's car and Sebastian's car last night to the stock Lola wishbone, which is a stronger wishbone, and both cars are reliable today. Meanwhile, Mimo Gidley has made a mistake.
Yes, he has. He spun at turn 4, heading onto the back straightaway, goes through the runoff area and gets back underway, loses several spots. He rejoins the field back with Mario Haberfeld. He'll come back on the racetrack in 15th spot. So Gidley loses 10 positions by spinning there off turn 4. Tough break indeed. Gidley qualifying that car 5th, by far the best ride of the season for the Rocket Sports 17 team, and then Mimo just overcooked it. There is Tracy, your race leader in car number 1. He's got 2.6 seconds last time by on the runner-up, Sebastian Bourdais. What does this do for Paul Tracy's confidence, Tommy Kendall, to jump to the lead and have no one able to run with him?
Well, it's definitely a boost. And you say, why would Paul Tracy need a confidence boost? Well, this year he's only got 1 win. That was the first race of the season. Since then, it's been almost all Sebastian Bourdais. So this is, even though you wouldn't think he would need it, it still helps him. And he needs to get back on his horse and get into a rhythm.
If he's going to have a shot at the title, he's got a long way to go, but this could be an important building block for him today. He leads Tracy, or rather Tracy leads Bourdais, Levine, and Dominguez. Our first full course caution of the day, safety truck 1 is there to service the incident down in the corner here. We had Alex Spirafico, a lap car on the inside, and the car Patrick Carpentier trying to get by him. This is Spirafico, the MyJet car, left of your screen. Junqueira right behind Carpentier as they ran 5th and 6th. at the end of pit road into turn 1, and contact sends Carpentier around into the tires, knocked the rear end off the car essentially. Here's one more look from up above. Here's Levine. He had spun as well up ahead, so it makes you wonder, Tommy, moisture down on the racetrack here?
I think we have two separate incidents, because Sparaffico was caused by he pulled over to let him by, and then he didn't let him by, and that's where the big problem is there.
It's right here with Rodolfo Levine, qualified second, was running in third spot before spinning and stalling the car. Down into 1. And Dominguez right behind him just stepped out on him, it appeared. The track did not appear to be wet at all. There's Patrick Carpentier. Slow walk back to the paddock. He's with Derek.
Patrick Carpentier is absolutely livid, as he should be. Patrick, looked like you were lapping a slower car of Sparaffico, and then he didn't give you enough room. Did you see it like that?
He started racing me going down corner 1. I mean, what's the guy thinking? He was not even there, was not even close. He was a lap behind, had nothing to do with that. I tried to give him some room so he can back off, and I don't know.
What makes it even more disappointing is you got such a huge round of applause from all the people in the grandstand here when you came out of the car.
Yeah, it's disappointing. No, I was just running, saving some fuel. I was doing a lot of corners in third gear and just tried to pit a lap later than the guys in front of me, and I thought I would be able to catch them and pass them coming the first pit stop. And we had a car that had pretty decent speed. After that, it would have been a different race, but that's too bad.
Thank you, Patrick.
Carpentier well placed in the championship battle. His day ends very early, and this is not the first time he's had problems. 1 year ago here at Vancouver, he got in with Mario Dominguez on lap 60. Again, contact going into a corner, knocked the front end askew on Carpentier's car. Dominguez done as well. And Carpentier had to take the gloves off in anger last year here at Vancouver at Pacific Place. Rodolfo Levine had spun just as that other incident was happening that took out Carpentier. Bill Adam, what happened with Levine?
Well, let's talk to Phil LeFan to see if we can get some indication. Phil, were you contacted by Rodolfo to find out what happened there?
No, we didn't actually talk about it. We saw it on the monitor. We just got a little bit loose going through one and ended up losing the back end.
What does this do to the crew when your driver qualifies so impressively and is having a great run, and then this happens?
We'll just carry on. We'll do the best we can, and we'll make the most out of it, and no worries.
Can you take advantage of this yellow situation right now, bring him in, get a pit stop out of the way?
We're gonna wait. We obviously need to wait till it goes green, and we'll probably pit then.
Thank you very much. Back to you, Rick.
All right, so Levine's team waiting behind the wall, ready to bring the Corona beer car in. Sebastian Bourdais will restart in second, right behind race leader Paul Tracy. 3 wins in a row, going for 4. We asked Bronte Tagliani to sit down with Sebastian Bourdais and some of his key team members and find out about their success this season.
Obviously a very successful season for Newman Haas so far. Why is it, do you think, that Newman Haas is so successful, and why does it excel?
Well, we're pretty fortunate that we have continuity. The guys stay with the team for quite a while. We don't have a whole lot of turnover. I think part of that's because we're in Chicago. We're one of the few teams that are based in Chicago. So the guys have worked there a long time. We have a lot of experience, a lot of sort of data and database to draw upon. You know, the cars haven't changed tremendously in the past roughly 3 years. So we're able to refer back to last year's setups and the year before, and even back to, say, 1994 and go, what did we do then? And did it work, and what works well at each track?
So how's your season shaping up so far?
Well, it's all the expectations, I guess, when you get 4 wins out of 6, but you know, it's still a long way to go. And these guys are not going to leave me alone, so I'm just going to have to stay focused and score big points all the time.
Are you at all surprised with the success you've had so far this season?
No. I mean, it's nice to win 3 straight races, and that's kind of unexpected and, you know, a pretty rare thing to have happen, just like the 1-2s, and the team needs to really take a lot of pride in the 3 1-2 finishes we've had this year. But, you know, it's Sebastian's second year driving the McDonald's car. He's seen all the tracks. He understands what he wants out of the car. And he's just, it's that much easier.
Realistically, the McDonald's car was very good in Toronto, and there's no reason why it shouldn't be different in Vancouver. Setups are realistically identical.
Do you think that his quiet, steady demeanor has anything to do with that performance on the track?
You know, it's funny, everybody says how quiet and steady he is, and sometimes in the car during qualifying, he's not all that quiet and steady. But I guess all drivers are like that. he's a good guy. The team really likes him. He's easy to work with. He's friends with everybody here. He knows everybody's name, knows everybody's wife, everybody's girlfriend. He cares about what goes on with us. And he's quick. And we want to do a good job for him. So it's all working really well.
Hugely successful early season for Sebastian Bourdais and the McDonald's Newman Haas team. Car number 2, they line up second, going for 4 straight, ready for the restart. He's not too, well, here he is closing in on Tracy, who's really backed off preparing for the restart here. What's the strategy? Can Bourdais use this now to try to snooker Tracy?
The guy up front really has an edge here. It's single file. Paul will try to build a little bit of a gap, but even if Sebastian was right on him, the chance of jumping around him, unless Paul really gets a lot of wheel spin, are nil. Now going down onto the back straightaway, you get through that kink. The kink is really tough to do flat out on cold tires. So if Paul has a little bit of a bobble in the kink, they're coming here through turn 4. Turn 5 is the kink. They're going through turn 4 right now. They head onto the back straightaway, heading up to this section right here. If Paul were to bobble through here and Sebastian got through there cleanly, he could make a run down in the braking zone at turn 6.
Single file to the back part of the racetrack. Putting lap 25 on the board, last time by of 85. Everyone holding position at the moment. There's Levine. He restarts 14th. And this sets up some interesting pit stop strategy, Tom. Several teams did bring their cars onto pit road.
Yeah, none of the lead guys did. All the talk of the guys up front. Oh, look at Wilson.
Right up behind.
Pressure on Bruno.
Junqueira is 4th on the restart. Wilson 5th. As they battle it out for position here in Vancouver.
I see smoke coming from Wilson's car.
Didn't notice it last time by. We'll try to get a look. There's Alex Tagliani and A.J. Allmendinger, who's circled up to 7th spot. Allmendinger with a very good early run
Wilson
going.
In the pits, as is Tagliani. As is
Serbia there in the 11.
Levine.
Looks like Levine coming on pit road as well. So green flag stop.
Yeah, a number of these cars, some of the cars like Levine are actually stopped before and may put fuel in, but now to satisfy the green flag stop, they need to come in and change tires.
Derek Taylor.
Justin Wilson, the engine just died. Engine just died on Justin Wilson. His hands are raised in frustration. He doesn't know what to do. It looks like everything is dead on the dashboard. Oh, what a time of frustration for the MyJack crew.
Throws the visor up. Engineers look inside to see if they can figure out if there's an electrical problem. They've got the starter at the back of the race car. Champ car officials there to watch.
It is an electrical problem. There is a black box that says powered by Cosworth in the hand of one of the mechanics here. They're about to put that in under the side pod. So yes, electrical failure for Justin Wilson.
He had climbed to 5th spot after starting 7th here today. They've got the side pod off the car now. Going to work on the electrics of the MyJack number 34. Wow, tough break again. Wilson, a driver who raised his own funds by selling stock in himself in Great Britain to go racing a couple of years ago to Formula One and now here to Champ Car. They had the annual meeting of Justin Wilson PLC a few weeks ago at Brands Hatch in England. Tracy continues to lead, 27 laps complete. He's 1.6 seconds ahead of Sebastian Bourdais in Vancouver.
Hi, I'm Bronte, and I'm live from the Fan Pavilion here at the Molson Indy Vancouver. And I want to know, are you guys having fun?
As always, follow all the action of the Champ Car World Series at our website, champcarworldseries.com. Be sure to check out the Race Director feature and some brand new enhancements. You can start signing up today for the Champ Car Inner Circle. 2004 memberships are available. 6 additional camera angles, every pit-to-car radio. Hear all your favorite drivers as they chat with their engineers and crews. The Inner Circle Fan Club also provides you with discount tickets to remaining Champ Car World Series events, an exclusive cap created just for members of the Inner Circle. Other discounts and giveaways available as well. Go to champcarworldseries.com. Let's bring in Derek Daly. As we ride with Tracy, here's Bourdais in 2nd spot. Now 5 seconds behind. Once again off the drop of the green, Tracy has just driven away from the pack here.
And it's unabated. Lap after lap, over a second faster than Sebastian Bourdais. That lap, 1.2 seconds difference. Derek?
Sorry, fellas. Kathy Louderback, who handles public relations for Newman Haas team, was in my ear telling me what's going on. Bourdais is complaining of understeer. In fact, he said it was so bad on the restart, he thought he had a puncture in the front. They said the pressures are not coming up high enough on a brand new set of Bridgestones that they'll put on in about 3 laps. They're going to raise the pressures. Bruno said he has a lot of understeer, which is push, which is when you turn the front of the car in with the steering, it does not turn into the corner, it wants to plow on. So they're fighting the front end of these two Newman Haas cars.
How much adjustment does he have in the race car, Tom?
Well, he can adjust the sway bar inside the race car, but chances are that won't be enough. You'll see them making a wing change when they come in for their stop.
Bourdais fighting it. You can see him yanking on the wheel to try to get that car to turn correctly. Up through the gears. Now 6.1 seconds behind Tracy, still running second. Dominguez starting to get close to Bourdais from behind. Dominguez third, Junqueira fourth, Allmendinger fifth, Jourdain and Tagliani. Something new for you on our Champ Car TV coverage. We talked to several key drivers in the series about technical issues of importance. Sebastian Bourdais explains understeer for us.
For me, it's between 1 and 5. So if it's a 1 out of 5 oversteer, it's under control. Well, an understeer 5 of 5 doesn't happen because it just means that you turn the steering wheel and it just went straight. So it's different.
5 out of 5 puts you in the wall.
1
you can drive.
5 out of 5 means it's not turning.
Understeer is when the front end of the car does not want to turn into the corner, essentially.
Yeah, it's steering less than you want it to. Oversteering means it's steering more than you want, meaning the back end's trying to come around.
As we ride with the runner-up, we're getting word that Paul Tracy, the race leader, is going to give up the point and head to pit road for his first green flag stop of the day. The Forsyth team is ready, Derek Daly.
And they tell me there are no changes for Paul Tracy. And we know that Bourdais is suffering from understeer, so they're chasing the handling of that car. So Tracy still would appear to have the upper hand if this stop all goes well. Right on the mark. He keeps the revs. Listen to the rev limiter when the fuel goes in. Here we go. 11 seconds flat for Paul Tracy. Good stop.
Very popular here, of course, in his homeland. The defending series champion on the pole. He's led all the way until that green flag stop. Tracy heading to the backstretch while we have the opportunity. Let's ride full throttle with Paul Tracy. Sebastian Bourdais, who took over the lead, he is headed to pit road as well. Back to Derek.
Both team cars, Bourdais and Junqueira, are in together. They are both going to go on brand new Bridgestones. Tire pressure increases in the front to try and manage. Oh, downforce also on Bourdais. Left front, right front wing gets more downforce. 8.8 seconds. Now that is a short fill. That is a short fill, Tommy, hoping to jump ahead of Paul Tracy.
Back with Bourdais. Newman Haas team, the McDonald's bunch. They know they got their driver off pit road very nicely. Dominguez cycles to the lead. Now Allmendinger to second. Jourdain, Bourdais, Junqueira, and Tracy. So Bourdais gained some ground there. He's got Tracy 2 spots behind him after the pit stop exchange, at least as they came by last time. We'll see what scoring does. Here comes Dominguez. He'll give up the lead with Allmendinger right behind him. They will make their first green stops of the day on lap 34. As we watch Allmendinger, he will come to his stall first. The Rousport team ready to go to work on the Western Union car. And here comes the Erdez 55. Dominguez, who was leading the race at the time he came on pit road. 4 new Bridgestone Potenzas. Load of fuel going in. They've got the water hose there as well. 11.7 seconds for Dominguez, so not quite as quick a stop as we saw Tracy's bunch crack off in 3 seconds more on pit road than Bourdais' team. Allmendinger, meantime, with sticker tires on the 10 car. He heads toward turn 4 and then the backstretch. Mario Haberfeld for Derek Walker, struggling a bit here in the early going. Bill Adam, what's their situation?
Well, down here with Derek Walker. Derek, I can see you throwing up your hands with a bit of frustration right now, but it appears he's having a good run. So what's happening?
Well, car 21 is a lap down. He took about a second and a half off of us. We were closing on Tagliani. You know, we got one of the best pit crews in the business here. We made a fantastic stop. We're losing it because the blue flag isn't being waved.
Mario came off a season-high 4th in Toronto, and he's really running again here very, very well.
Yeah, I mean, the key to it is he does a great job on the racetrack, maximizes the car, and the guys do it in the pits. A fantastic pit stop. So we just got one more stop. We can do the same again. Who knows?
Well, obviously, Derek Walker does it very well, too. Back to you, Rick.
Mario Haberfeld now being shown in 8th position. Michel Jourdain cycles to the lead. Other crews waiting for their drivers on pit road. That's near Haberfeld's pit. Tracy back up to 2nd spot. More allegations of blocking, perhaps. Derek Walker raising an issue that's been key for many teams this season.
Yeah, it's more shades of Portland, where you have a car that's a lap down impeding a lead lap car, and they want the officials to be more proactive with the blue move-over flag.
Paul Newman, the great star of screen for many, many years, watching his team in action. Newman alongside his co-team owner, Carl Haas. Earlier today, Paul Newman got a chance to chat with the great one, Wayne Gretzky, who's here as a guest of the event sponsor. And Paul took Wayne around the racetrack before the drop of the green here today in a Dodge Viper pace car. So good to see Wayne Gretzky on hand, part of the fun and excitement of the Champ Car Grand Prix at Vancouver. The Johnson Controls team with a good afternoon going so far. They started back in 9th. That's Alex Tagliani, still searching for his first career victory. Had a great race here at Vancouver 3 years ago. Led from the pole, led at more than 60 laps before the gearbox failed in his race car and knocked him out of a potential victory. There is car number 1, Paul Tracy, the Index car out in front. He's led much of the way, gave up the lead on his first pit stop, but he has gotten back to the front after the pit stop cycle was complete. A.J. Allmendinger with a terrific day going in 2nd spot, down to Bill Adams.
Yeah, they are having a terrific run. Jeremy Dale, your 2 drivers are 2nd and 3rd right now. This is pretty strong.
Well, it's great. The reality is that we did that strategically more than anything else. But you know what? The crew did a great job on the stops. The drivers have stayed out of trouble, which here is not easy. And we're where we want to be in terms of track position. And we think we've got good race cars. I'm not sure we can run with Paul, but I think any of these other guys, we can run with them.
How difficult is it to set these cars up when you've got 2 pretty young rookie drivers?
Well, Michel's not a rookie, as you know. I mean, Michel's been around a long time, and he's been a tremendous help for AJ. AJ's only raced here once, but, you know, we've felt the last couple of races that we've had really good race cars, and we've just had bad luck. I mean, just bad racing luck. And so I think where we are right now is mostly strategy. Having said that, when you've got cars on the racetrack that are so equal, you've got to have good strategy.
You do indeed. Derek Daly.
The technical director for the Herdez team is Tom Brown. Tom, you're watching here as people like Allmendinger, Jourdain, and even Bourdais short-filled. You elected to not short-fill, fill the tank up. How big a gamble is that?
It's a pretty big gamble, but we chose not a short fill. We want to stay out as long as possible. Those guys have got to come back in. When those guys come back in, we got to go hell for leather. We got 4 or 5 laps. We really got to stand on it. That's when we'll tell him. He knows what he's got to do.
Thank you, Tom. And during those 4 or 5 laps, they better hope that they have clear track, because that's the only way you can make up on a gamble such as this.
As we watch Dominguez on the racetrack in 7th spot. Let's check back in on Sebastian Bourdais, who is 4th. And his teammate Bruno Junqueira looks as though he's gotten by Alex Tagliani, who was 5th. Well, actually, Tagliani has gotten by. We see that Tagliani now has moved around Bourdais. So Tag in the 8th car has climbed to 4th. So a good move there. And Junqueira looks as though he's got his teammate in his gun sights.
Yeah, a chink in the armor for Sebastian Bourdais. Back in the pack a little bit, and he was running plenty quick before that pit stop, but be interesting to find out if they've got a problem, if he's out of a rhythm, or what's exactly going on in that McDonald's car.
Well, they were pushing. They said the car was pushing. In fact, right before the pit stop, Bourdais told us that he thought they might have a tire going down. They changed tires. They adjusted the car, and it does not appear to be as good as it was in the first run. So they've got more work to do. They do have one more green flag stop to go, but Bourdais back in 5th spot as he tries to win 4 in a row and become just the 4th Champ Car driver in the modern era to do that. But he's not having a good day. Let's take a listen to his in-car radio for a moment. silent on the radio at this point as we work on lap number 44. Past halfway. Bourdais' engineer watching things. Bourdais climbs up through the gears on the front straightaway here, heading toward turn 1 at Vancouver. Again, up at the top of your screen, our running order and the number of green flag pit stops each driver has made here. You must make 2 by lap 73. An amazingly clean race, 1 full course caution. Gaston Mazzacani got in trouble before the drop of the green and retired for the day after hitting the wall on the warm-up lap. And then we had Patrick Carpentier and Alex Spirafico getting together down in turn 1 a short time ago. A couple of laps of caution there, back underway, and Tracy has just driven away from the rest of the field. He's got a 9-second lead. He wish he had a 9-point lead. This is A.J. Allmendinger who runs second after some great strategy and excellent work on pit road. Allmendinger is second, almost 10 seconds behind Tracy right now. Jourdain runs third. Tagliani has moved to fourth. Then it's Bourdais and Junqueira. Dominguez and Mario Haberfeld, who cycled back up to 8th. Ryan Hunter-Reay, the Urdez teammate, to the 55 car of Dominguez, and Oriol Servia up into 10th position right now. Good day for A.J. Allmendinger. Another impressive run for this great run.
Backing up, it's claimed that his car was perfect. He just turned the fastest lap of the race at a 102.35. Paul Tracy has since answered back and lowered it by 100th of a second to a 102.34. But all 3 of those cars are running the top 3 cars. Tracy, Allmendinger, and Jourdain all running in the low 102 second bracket.
Tracy with lap 43 complete, working lap 44 now. Off of turn 1 cleanly, no problems at all. Tracy's lead 9.4 seconds last time by. Paul Tracy with a great day going. 5 o'clock Eastern time as we head into the second hour of action here in Vancouver with Tommy Kendall, Heinrich Benjamin, Derek Daly, and Bill Adam on pit road. Bronte Tagliani here as well. 7th race of the 2004 Champ Car World Series season, and Paul Tracy putting on a driving clinic here this afternoon. Got by his teammate Rodolfo Levine at the drop of the green. They qualified 1-2. Sebastian Bourdais started third today, the points leader, working on 3 straight victories. Tracy just said see ya to Bourdais, and he has had everyone in his rearview mirrors so far all afternoon.
Well, going back to Toronto, when he left there and everybody was mad at Paul Tracy, he didn't think he did anything wrong, and he and I are quite good friends, but he was really ticked off at me after that race, thought that we'd been unfair to him on television, and would hardly talk to me. First day on Monday, wouldn't talk, said, I'm going for a bike ride, I don't want to talk to you. Signed off with a little expletive, and but as time went along, I could tell he was still all over me about what I'd said, but it switched from serious to lighthearted, kind of jabbing at each other. And so I think the weekend off was really, really important for Paul Tracy. He gets off by himself, he's able to process some of this stuff, and he came in here pretty light and relaxed.
Tracy leading Allmendinger. Jourdain sits third ahead of Tagliani. Bourdais fighting an evil handling race car. He is 5th here in Vancouver.
You're watching the Molson Indy from Vancouver, and I'm here with the winners of the Miss Molson Indy Canada. And they want to say, we love Champ Car in Vancouver.
Paul Tracy up through the gearbox. He has been the dominant horse here today. On lap number 48, Tracy has led all the way, except for the few laps he spent on pit road during his first green flag stop. No one's had anything for Tracy so far. But Bill Adam, the team owner you're standing with, has to have a huge smile on his face.
He does have a big smile on his face right now, Rick. Carl Russo, you've done your very best to try and add to our fat content of all the announcers this weekend, and we appreciate that. But do you feed your crew something special? Because the team effort today is phenomenal.
Well, it's been a great team effort. We knew from the start of the season when we took Michelle on so late in the season that it was going to be a really tall mountain to climb. And what you've seen is the progression of the team. The team has figured out how to make a fast race car. We haven't figured out qualifying yet, but that's okay.
But they're obviously working through their frustration because the early part of this season has been a little bit of a nail-biter for you.
Well, it's been a bit of a nail-biter, but truthfully, no frustration given where we started. All we committed to do was to learn every race and move to the front. We've got 2 great guys driving these cars. AJ and Michelle, you're seeing it here. We have an excellent engineering staff. They're all sitting behind us here. So you just give them time and the right resources. We're going to get to the front.
Well, Rick, it's kind of like watching an expectant father. He's so excited running around here. He's really enjoying himself.
Well, his two kids are second and third right now, so he's got a lot to smile about. There's the 9 of Jourdain. Remember, the two Rousport cars started back in the 6th row, Tom, 11th and 12th, to end up second and third here with 35 to go. Not a bad day.
And AJ running fast lap after fast lap, dipped down to the 101s. Now Tracy has dipped in the 101s as well. And as AJ in Spanish, Michelle calls him Ajota, which is AJ in Spanish.
Watching the battle here, meantime, for 4th spot, Tagliani and the Johnson Controls. 8 has 4th. Bourdais, the points leader, rides 5th, and the McDonald's 2. And they are not far apart as they head to the backstretch. Bourdais hasn't been able to do anything, though, with Tagliani in this battle for 4th spot as they lean on it. Back to your leader, Tracy. Let's go full throttle with the Forsyth number 1.
That's great, Paul, plus 8.5, that's perfect.
Tracy on lap 51 of 85 has not used any push to pass time so far, but he's knocked off a lap at 101.95 seconds. So Paul Tracy, the series champion, he's done very well here at Vancouver. He's got 2 wins, both from the pole in 2000 and last year, 2003. His 3rd consecutive front row start at Vancouver. He was on the pole in 2002 as well, although he did not win the race. So PT laying down some very impressive laps here, and we are clicking them off pretty quickly. 33 to go of the 85 here today. Don't think we'll be in danger of having this one clipped short by time. Remember, there's an hour 45 time limit in place in Champ Car this season, but it looks as though we will finish without much problem here. Up at the top of your screen, each driver's push to pass time remaining. That's the button on the steering wheel that gives you an extra 60 seconds worth of 50 horsepower. Extra turbo boost worth 50 horsepower when you lean on that button. And Tommy, you called it the blocking button at times for some guys.
Yeah, there's some guys use it offensively, and some that's push to pass, and then some guys, you might call it the FU button, which is follow us or something like that, where you want to keep someone behind you.
Watching Tracy. Word is that Justin Wilson, who struggled earlier, had the engine die on pit road. They had to change the electrical box, the computer in the car, and he is off the racetrack behind turn 6. Emo Gidley headed to pit road. Gidley started 5th today, spun, dropped back to 15th. He had climbed to 12th. And Gidley with his first stop of the day. He's actually made 2 stops. This will be another stop. And here comes Alex Tagliani. Tagliani running in 6th position for his 2nd green stop of the day, Bill Adam.
Well, you see Tag sliding in. Perfect stop. Boy, the brakes are all locked up. It could not have been better. The crew have said the car is beautiful. He does not want any changes.
The Johnson Controls car. He's down and away. Tagliani was 7th when he came to pit road. As the 2nd cycle of green flag stops appears ready to unfold today at Vancouver. And the McDonald's team helping the 2-car getaway, so Bourdais makes his 2nd and final green stop of the day.
Well, we saw both Rocket Sports cars in, and we've seen Sebastian Bourdais, and whether it's a short field, I think this is actually a conscious decision to try the early window strategy. And Sebastian Bourdais, right before that stop, just so when it looked like when he was having trouble, wasn't the quick car, ran the fastest lap of the race on his in lap. And so I think you got these guys on the early strategy. If we get a yellow between now and when Paul Tracy stops, you're going to have either the Rocket Sports cars or AJ or Bourdais leading this race.
And here is Allmendinger, the Western Union number 10. The Rousport team goes to work up on the jacks. Tires going on. Fuel going in, and Allmendinger down and away quickly. On the rev limiter as he heads down pit road. The speed limit's in place. He's got to be conservative until he gets back up on the racetrack. Here's Michel Jourdain delaying his stop. He cycles to second now.
The fuse on the ticking time bomb for strategy time bomb for Paul Tracy the fuse has been lit. That player, the Forsyth team has to make a decision. The normal strategy is to pit the last if you have the fuel to go late. But now because of Bourdain, all these guys forcing his hand, if every lap those guys stay out, if they get a yellow, Paul Tracy is hosed.
We shall see how it plays out. Oriole Serbia, the Oak TV car. The 11 from Dale Coyne's squad in on pit road. Sticker tires go on, fuel there as well.
And the reason you want to run longer than everybody else is you lose maybe 2, 3, 4, 5 seconds relative to a car running behind you who stays out on hot tires and light fuel load. The closest car to Paul Tracy right now is 12.6 seconds. There's no good reason to stay out.
And we will see. Tracy remains on the racetrack for now, riding here with Bourdain. Bourdain runs back in 7th now after making his second green flag stop. Bourdain cranking that wheel. Remember, that car is pushing a little bit. Let's take a listen to the race cars Bourdain made his stop moments ago.
PLC off, Seb. Push. Wait a minute now. Wait a minute. Finishing the fuel. Watch Todd. Go.
And that's how a team and crew chief and engineer will coach a driver onto pit road through a stop.
And they'll tell you to reset fuel, the PLC pit lane speed limit control off. Since he was in the last pit, it wasn't going to come into play on the exit. Stuff that he knows to do on his own, but it's just good. Sometimes the heat of the moment, if you're making a brake bias adjustment, sway bar adjustment, to have those reminders.
Bruno Junqueira, meantime, who started 8th today after wrecking and qualifying yesterday. He's headed to the pit stall as well, Derek Daly.
He still has too much understeer, too much push. They've increased the front tire pressures again. Another brand new set of Bridgestones. Sticker tires. They always try and keep stickers. He almost left it when the fuel was in. 9.7 seconds and almost a costly miscue. He dropped the clutch before they pulled the fuel hose out, stopped again. They dodged a huge bullet right there.
A bobble, but not an error.
Bobble but not an error. I'm wondering if he had a little clutch slip, and when he engaged first gear, if the car maybe didn't jerk forward. Okay, so Tracy's in.
Paul Tracy,
they were obviously thinking the same thing as us.
Getting the index car to a stop. New rubber going on. Derek Daly.
No new tires for Paul Tracy. These are scrub tires. A very short Bill.
Well, the car has come to a stop here. 4 tire change. No other changes aerodynamically. Fuel is out. Back underway. Another perfect stop. This crew is hot.
Now the Rochefort team doing a great job on pit road.
Now the thing to look for here, because Jourdain ran a few laps longer, he is probably going to hop ahead of Allmendinger. Allmendinger's tires are going to be hot. I expect him to be coming into the picture soon, but he will be ahead on the racetrack of Allmendinger.
Oriole Serbia up in front of Paul Tracy right now. Tracy comes back out as the race leader. Jourdain cycles to 2nd spot. Mario Dominguez moves to 3rd ahead of Allmendinger with the pit stops. Junqueira sits in 5th. Then it's Bourdain, Tagliani, Jimmy Vasser up to 8th. Ryan Hunter-Reay has just gotten by him. Vasser headed to pit road, so that's why he's dropping back. Mario Haberfeld in 9th. Jimmy on and off pit road in the Gulfstream PKV Lola. Great run 2 weeks ago at Toronto, up into 2nd spot, 2nd podium of the season for first podium, I should say, for Vasser. 2nd top 5 of the season. And a great weekend, but they have not had a good day here today. Jimmy soldiering on, trying to get a good finish for his team, despite a race car that he said just technically wasn't up to par.
One of the things that everybody loves about Jimmy Vasser is he never loses his sense of humor. And when I ran into Kevin Kalkoven and Jimmy yesterday at the Miss Indy finals, Kevin said, Jimmy told me after qualifying, he says, I've got all these other guys right where I want them. And I looked at Jimmy, and Jimmy says, rolled his eyes and said, yeah, right where I want them. So they were in not good shape at all, but he was trying to at least keep the spirits up.
Paul Tracy getting his Bridgestone Potenzas up to speed and up to temperature. Lap 61, he is your leader. As always, Bridgestone Potenza, the official tire of the Champ Car World Series. Lots of new technology. There's Derek Daly with our Bridgestone Passion for Excellence.
Nothing makes racing cars go fast on the racetrack than good grip from the tyres. Now, Bridgestone in the Champ Car World Series provides every team with 8 sets per weekend, but you'd better make sure you use those tyres properly. Now, you've heard us talk about sticker tyres. Well, sticker tyres is a tyre that has a sticker on it. It's got a barcode, but this isn't the key to a sticker tyre. Sticker means it's a brand new tyre. When you put a brand new tyre on, believe it or not, this tyre only has its maximum grip one time in its life, and it's right after it's put on as a brand new tyre, because when the rubber heats up the very first time in its life, it'll go to a higher temperature, which gives it the most grip from the rubber, which is why in qualifying drivers put on sticker tyres to get that magic lap. Now, as you look at a much used tyre, you can see lots of scrub. Every time this tyre goes through a heat cycle, in other words, goes hot and goes cold, the rubber gets a bit harder, which means when you use it next time, hard rubber doesn't have as much grip, which is why in qualifying again, you have to use the sticker tyre. Therefore, you have to catch the magic lap 3 or lap 4, which means there's a call upon the driver to summon all your bravery and hang it out against the concrete walls if necessary, trying to get that magic qualifying lap on brand new stickers.
Mario Dominguez has come in for 4 new tires. In fact, they're scrub tires. The fuel will take longer than the tire change here. Oh, downforce on the front. Away he goes. 8.8 seconds. And they knew that if the yellow came out, the longer they left him out, Tommy, as you mentioned earlier on, they'd be dead, but they got away with it.
Dominguez second when he came to pit road.
Now, there's a time to gamble when the risk-reward. You have to balance that. It's different for every guy. If you are trying to do what Jourdain did, which is get around your teammate, if a yellow comes out, it's bad for you. But you say, you know what? If we run 2 or 3 extra laps, it put them in front of their teammate. Dominguez is guys who have been consistently one of the better teams at optimizing strategy. Said, you know what? Given all things considered, let's leave him out for a few more laps.
63 laps are on the board. Coming up on 20 to go in the Champ Car Grand Prix of Vancouver. Paul Tracy is your leader.
While the drivers are racing out there, some of the fans are racing in here. And as you can see, there's plenty of fun. The Molson Indy Vancouver.
With Tommy Kendall, I'm Rick Benjamin, getting into the latter stages of today's Champ Car Grand Prix of Vancouver. Tracy is your leader. Michel Jourdain has cycled to second here on lap 67. Allmendinger is third ahead of Junqueira and Bourdais. Then Mario Dominguez in 6th position. Tagliani is 7th. Ryan Hunter-Reay quietly in the top 10 and 8th. And Mario Haberfeld, and we heard from Derek Walker earlier, I want to take a second and point out something. We keep extensive and exhaustive statistics of the Champ Car World Series. Mario Haberfeld is plus 25. What does that mean? Well, in hockey terms, you'd say, well, he was on the ice for 25 more goals than he had been on for when his team had been scored upon. Well, in this, we're taking a look at how many positions the drivers gained over the course of the season. Haberfeld has gained 25 spots from where he starts to where he finishes over the course of the season so far. Up top, we're showing you our Ford running order and the positions gained or lost here today. Michel Jourdain and A.J. Allmendinger, big movers here today. Remember, they started in the 6th row. They run 2nd and 3rd, and they're getting some help today. And Tom, you've mentioned this before, that spotting on a street course, on a road course, you think it'd be very important. It isn't normally done. Well, the Rousport team has Barry Waddell, their driver coach, over in turn 6, talking to their drivers today. Maybe that's one of the reasons why their guys are doing so well.
Well, that's one of the areas I think where, Carl Russo being new and incredibly open-minded, just because it's always been done this way, that's not a good enough answer for a guy like Carl Russo. And says, if we need spotters, just because no one does it, why not do it? And I think that's a good example of a new team maybe having a not being as constrained by tradition.
Well, we talked about the outside pole sitter at the top of the broadcast, Rodolfo Levine. Engine on fire. Motor has blown in the Index Corona car, and Levine got the car to a runoff area safely. Fire crews there quickly. They will douse the flames at the back of that motor compartment. So Levine, who was back in 13th, remember he had spun and lost a lot of track position earlier, was never able to get back up into contention. His day again will come to an end early. He had had 3, did not finish results in his last 4 races, make it 4 out of 5 for Levine in car number 3. And here's a look-see from his onboard camera. Something was wrong, just took the car right off the racetrack. This was his best ever qualifying effort to start on the outside pole. His previous best ever qualifying effort was 6th at Milwaukee at the Milwaukee Mile earlier this year, but Levine done for the day. Derek Daly, what's going on with Paul Tracy's team?
Well, if he wins today, it'll be a double celebration for friends. The other friend being Lance Armstrong. He and Paul Tracy are good friends. Last year, Paul Tracy in the Racer magazine most popular driver of the year was voted as the winner and got $25,000. He donated the money to the Lance Armstrong Foundation. Many people in the pit lane, including myself, have this Live Strong armband in support of Lance Armstrong and his foundation. Believe it or not, Paul Tracy is a little bit superstitious. He wouldn't wear it while he's in the race car. Now, that's the good side of the story down here. The bad side surrounds Neil Mickelwright. He is the general manager for Forsyth. He just told me Paul Tracy will have to make another pit stop for a splash and go. There was a malfunction, that's how he termed it, in the last pit stop. They did not get enough fuel into Tracy's car. They have told him on the radio, go like hell and build up a bit of a gap, because you got to bring you back in.
Wow. So one more green stop for the race leader who's dominated. Pole sitter Tracy is on the button here. Working lap 71 of 85. There'll be 14 to go next time by. And on Tommy Kendall, we're seeing that he is 21 seconds ahead of Michel Jourdain. How much time will he lose here on pit road?
Well, it's not the stationary time that hurts him. It's the time at that pit lane speed limit, and it's probably in the order of... it's going to be it'll be a little less than that 21 seconds. He should be able to get in and out. Now, remember, this is not a mandatory stop, so he does not have to change tires. So he'll be able to come out on the hot tires, so he won't lose that bit of time. But it's going to be close, but I think he can get there in and out before 21 seconds is up.
So Tracy continues to lead. Jourdain, Allmendinger, Junqueira, and Bourdais at Vancouver. Bourdais was bidding to be a writer of some Champ Car history today, trying for his 4th consecutive victory on the series, but his effort will come up short, it appears, as we get down to the final 10 laps. Bourdais back in 5th spot, started 3rd, moved to 2nd off the drop of the green, but never was able to challenge Paul Tracy. And the car has not worked the way he wanted it to all day long. So Bourdais has done a nice job to keep it in the top 5, but he has not been a factor for the victory. Paul Tracy on the button. Derek Daly, when are they going to bring him in?
The idea here is to get at least, I believe, in the 20-plus seconds. Neil Mickelwright is here, general manager for Forsyth. Neil, I know Vancouver, we have a problem. How do you determine when you're going to bring Paul in for this splash and go?
Basically, during the course of the weekend, we're able to figure out how much time we lose actually coming into the pits. And it takes a certain number of seconds, roughly 22 seconds if it was tyres only. Consequently, we need to build a bit of a cushion so that we've got time to come in, put some extra fuel in there, and then go out and still maintain the lead.
What went wrong, Neil?
We're still not entirely sure. There's a mechanical issue with the fueling system that stopped as much fuel going in as should have.
Thank you, Neil. Basically, but Tracy is on his way in here, and the tires are sitting on the pit wall. Bill?
I'm down here with a very disappointed Phil LePan. Phil, did you have any indication of a problem existing on the car?
No, just happened very suddenly, and obviously very disappointing. But we had a good weekend, really up to the race.
I mean, you had a great weekend, just a sensational qualifying effort. What did he say when he came on the radio?
Yeah, he just said there was something wrong in the car, and he was going to pull it off. So we told him to shut it off and get out of the way.
Well, it's a heartbreak today, but it looks good for the future. He's showing a lot of talent, Rick.
Rodolfo Levine, the driver that Phil LePan takes care of in that Corona beer number 3, an engine failure of some sort. We saw the flames out the rear end of the race car when Rodolfo stopped in a runoff area earlier. Tracy on the button, down the back straightaway. He was getting by here. Let's take a look back a moment ago, getting by Roberto Gonzalez in the Nextel car.
Turn 6 here.
Bouncing the car.
Now that's precision, and that's what you've got to do to get the time. But I mean, how about this? When they called him and said you need more time, he was about 19 seconds ahead. And the crew can almost get overconfident. You can go to a guy like Paul Tracy, hey, we need more time. Lap after lap, and here he comes into the pits, pulled out another 8 seconds, just like magic.
The gap was 29 seconds over Michel Jourdain. He is on the limiter now, on the pit road speed limit. button, heading down toward his stall. Fuel only, Derek Daly. What do they need?
They need just about 2.5 gallons, so this should be really... Oh, they didn't get it in the first time. Look, the fueler looks back to measure time. He's gone. Down, gone.
That is a splash and go. Tracy staying below the blend line.
And Jourdain just crosses start-finish now, so he's out comfortably in front of Michel Jourdain.
So Paul Tracy able to make that stop and keep the race lead with 8 laps to go here at Vancouver.
I'm talking about the Lance Armstrong connection. One of the reasons he chose to donate that money to the Armstrong Foundation, that ties to cycling and Lance go back a long ways. There's a guy that Paul Tracy worked with as a trainer back in the early 90s who first introduced Paul to cycling, more on the mountain bikes, is Lance's chiropractor that travels with U.S. Postal for the last 3 years. A guy named Jeff Spencer, who was my trainer back in 1990 and lived in my guest house for a couple years with his wife. And that's how he sent that, didn't know Lance, sent that money, got a nice handwritten note from Lance, say, hey, thank you very much. I'm going to be in Vegas in the fall. It's a 1.5 years ago, and they got together, spent a night out in Las Vegas, and have become sort of, they answer back every now and again. But Paul takes a lot of his inspiration. His newfound fitness is from cycling, spends a lot of time on the bike, but I said, are you going to go out there and put the guys through the blender, which is what the cyclists say when they really wear a guy out? And I think he's been inspired by Lance's performance, and I'll tell you what, he has just pounded these guys into the ground today.
And if you had not heard, Lance Armstrong closed the deal today in Paris, won his 6th consecutive Tour de France, an all-time record. Our Ford telemetry on the backstretch, 11,000 RPM. Tracy's motor turns as he heads down into that right-hander, into the back straightaway, heading toward turn 6 here. Paul Tracy bidding for his 3rd win at Vancouver in the last couple of years in 2000. He was part of Team Cool Green. Tracy, the winner there. Dario Franchitti, his then teammate, right behind him. And this was 1 year ago when Tracy in the Forsyth machine was able to go from the pole and dominate as he has done so far here today. With 7 laps to go, Paul Tracy trying for his 3rd win of the century here at the Pacific Place course in Vancouver, British Columbia, Canada. 7th race of the Champ Car season in 2004.
So the gap now to Michel Jourdain in 2nd place is 7.9 seconds. We see some lap traffic up ahead of Paul Tracy in the Forsyth car. That's his good friend Jimmy Vasser.
Vasser, who has fought a difficult weekend in the 12th car, but he is up to 10th, looking for a top 10 after his runner-up finish in Toronto 2 weeks ago. There's Tracy ducking inside of Vasser. Coming up to put lap 80 on the board. There'll be 5 to go next time by.
You can see the rumble strips and lures, they nail those into the track. They've asked the drivers to stay off it. The last 5 guys we've seen all hit it, so they're saying, I guess they're ignoring the official.
Fast way around. Here's Mimo Gidley. Started 5th, ran 5th early, spun, got back on track in 15th. He's climbed back to 12th spot. Wild weekend for Gidley. We showed you earlier how he jetted down to Portland, raced in a SCCA touring car event. World Challenge touring cars yesterday. Started at the back of the field in 25th. Was the hard charger, climbed through the pack, and finished 11th in his Ford Focus for the Air Force Reserve. And a big thanks to the folks at the Air Force Reserve for allowing Mimo to do that this weekend and be a part of the Champ Car World Series. And Air Force reservists around the world, many of them deployed to Iraq at this point. They certainly deserve our thanks and a debt of gratitude from all of us as we watch with Tracy riding on board car number 1. From the pole, he has dominated. 80 laps complete, 5 to go. Good battle for 3rd, a little further back. A.J. Allmendinger trailing Michel Jourdain, his teammate, by 3 seconds, but Allmendinger with Bruno Junqueira right behind him. So it's a good battle for 3rd spot in the final laps. And here's Allmendinger in that Western Union number 10. And there's Bruno. A couple of car lengths separating these two guys with just a handful of laps left. You get a sense of how tight this racetrack is in that last couple of corners, that little complex that leads you to the front straightaway. Turns 11 and 12. There they are. 3rd and 4th.
I'm guessing AJ, his car was perfect on the first hit, ran just as quick on the second. I'm guessing maybe somehow this set of tires, pressure-wise, something isn't quite to his liking. He hasn't been as strong relatively on this run, but it's gonna be tough for Bruno Junqueira to get around him. They're running about the same speed.
Allmendinger,
Bruno does have almost a full complement of his push to pass. So if they were to hit traffic or something like that, you could see Bruno maybe take a run at him.
We'll show you push to pass numbers as we have been doing all day. Tracy with 47 seconds left. He's used very little of it. Jourdain has burned up 51 seconds. You're watching Jourdain here in second spot. 6.4 seconds behind Paul Tracy after that last unscheduled stop by Tracy for a few gallons of fuel. Push to pass numbers coming in with our running order at the top of your screen. 4 laps left. Junqueira hasn't used much of his time, as Tommy pointed out, so he may be on the button here as he tries to close on Allmendinger, who has 20 seconds left. Tracy's team up on the wall watching to see if their driver can close the deal at one of his favorite racetracks. We talked a lot about it in Toronto, how important it was if Tracy could win at his home racetrack. He is from that area, of course, but for a Canadian driver to win in Canada, that's just huge.
Well, exactly. This race is almost maybe more loaded in certain ways because of Greg Moore. Greg Moore, this being his hometown race, and Paul Tracy and Greg were very close. The Sunday night party in Vancouver is legendary. Greg used to be spearheading that, saying, hey, I'm going to show you guys how to have a good time. All of Greg's friends have carried that on in his honor. There was rumor that Dario Franchitti was going to charter a plane after Milwaukee to come out for the Greg Moore we'll see at the front party, which is what Greg said last words before his last race in Fontana. He said, I'll see you guys at the front. That's the name of the party. And so when Paul was on the top step of the podium last year in the players' colors, Paul doesn't wear his emotions on his sleeve, but if you go into Paul Tracy's bus, the only photos in there are 3 photos on the fridge of Greg Moore standing next to his Viper, of Paul and Greg standing together. So even though Toronto's his hometown, this one is very special to Paul Tracy.
And on the front straightaway here at this racetrack, and we haven't really been able to get a good look at it, but the word courage is painted down there, along with Greg Moore's name and the years that he graced the earth with his life. So he is well remembered, certainly here in his home territory of British Columbia. Tracy, meantime, coming up to the white flag next time by 83 complete. Working on 2 to go, and there it is at the start-finish line. Greg Moore, number 99.
And Greg Moore personified courage. There were not too many guys braver in a race car than Greg Moore.
Had one of the most amazing seasons in the old Indy Lights series ever. I think 11 wins one year in Indy Lights. It was just an incredible season that he put together.
And I remember his rookie run there at Homestead. He was going around guys on the outside, and I'm like, boy, this guy, I think he was 20 years old, 21 years old. Just incredible.
A preternatural talent, to be sure. Tracy heading to the white flag. 1 to go at Vancouver. Let's listen in as Tracy brings that car home. Watching the battle for second, here's Jourdain. Running in second spot. A.J. Allmendinger a second further back in the 10 car. Oh, and Jourdain overcooks it. And we'll wait here, see if Tracy does get any words from his crew, from Neil Mickelwright or any of the other boys.
Both Jourdain and Allmendinger on their push to pass right now.
They've burned it up, in fact, but you do get that final burst, maybe a little overtime. Hear the fans applauding Tracy as he goes by each grandstand here. He has dominated in car number 1 today.
Believe it or not, he probably can hear that in the car.
Last couple of corners ahead for Tracy, bidding for his 3rd Vancouver victory. And back-to-back wins from the pole.
Checker flag, Paul. You are the winner.
And here he comes with the strike of Paul Tracy. Hand in the air, collects the victory, his 2nd of the season in the Champ Car World Series. Fans on their feet, applauding their native song. The Forsyth Index crew very excited, and Tracy spinning donuts at the end of the front straightaway, as is his tradition here.
Your mom's proud of you. Your mom's proud of you. Those were good donuts.
Baked up about a dozen.
And they were not Krispy Kremes. There is a huge grandstand at the end of the front straightaway, maybe one of the best grandstand positions I've ever seen at a temporary circuit. And Paul went right down in front of those fans to spin that car and salute the crowd.
And he stalled it, so he can't do his victory lap.
That's okay. He's got the wheel off, and you know how thrilled he's going to be. Is that a big monkey off his back, Tommy Kendall?
I think so. Look at that.
Great victory for the defending series champion in the Champ Car World Series. Rest of the field taking the checkered flag. Carl Russo's team, the Rousport bunch, second and third today. Michel Jourdain and A.J. Allmendinger. And there is Carl Russo, fist pumping, 2 podium finishes for his 2 drivers here this weekend.
Carl, the first podium for AJ, but can you begin to even tell us what's in your heart?
A lot.
What does this mean after all the trials to get so much success?
These guys have worked so hard, but they've also worked so intelligently, and they've stuck to our core principles, and they've just fought through thick and thin. I am so proud of them. I got to go.
You heard it. You saw it.
You don't often see that kind of emotion from a team owner, but heartfelt from Carl Russo, who is the team owner for Rousport Racing. And A.J. Allmendinger, they drove for Paul Tracy in karting, incidentally, a couple of years ago.
A Molson Indy race has got more than just fast cars. There's also beautiful women. Welcome to Vancouver.
Another look at Paul Tracy as he took the checkered flag, celebrates in front of the huge grandstand at the end of the front straightaway, lays down a beautiful set of donuts here to honor his home country fans.
Paul Tracy, the master baker.
He led 81 of the 85 laps here today. The only 4 laps he did not lead when he was on pit road for green flag fuel stops and tire stops earlier in the afternoon. About as dominant a day as you could have for the Forsyth Indeck bunch. The 2 teammates for Rousport, Jourdain in the 9, Allmendinger in the 10, saluting one another after finishing second and third. Let's hear from our runner-up. He's with Derek Daly.
And I don't know if I've seen this type of celebration for a long time. Michel Jourdain, there are so many people happy here. I know you, Carl Russo, but look at all these people. What an awesome job by this new young team.
This team is fantastic. You know, a lot of people told me, you know, that it was a mistake, new team, blah, blah. And of course, it has not been easy. It's been really tough, but, you know, two podiums, and the team is doing great. There at the end, I was starting to lose my brakes, so it was tough, but this is fantastic. I'm so happy for AJ, just for everybody.
I know he celebrates with his wife, who is pregnant, because I saw him give the belly a little kiss earlier on, so a great day for celebration here.
No, this is the best. Like, and in Mexico say that the babies bring good luck, so I guess he did now. So we're very happy.
Thank you, Michel. What an awesome day.
And let's get the
well,
thoughts.
This is it's a happy team today, AJ. You finally got it.
Oh my God, that was such a tough race. I mean, we really didn't belong where we qualified. Both Michel and I, we just never got clean laps in qualifying. And then the race, the car was absolutely amazing. You know, thanks to my team, great pit stops. Chris Lurch and David Brown, my 2 head engineers, did a great job. You know, and everybody that's come on board this team for not only myself but for Michel with Red Bull, BG Products, and now with the new sponsor Western Union. We're great. We're happy to have them. And I'm so tired.
Well, this is one of these deals that it's the first stage in your dream, and it has come true today. A.J. Allmendinger, a tremendous finish, Derek.
And indeed, Paul Tracy has made his way down to Victory Circle. He is just surrounded by Canadians, by well-wishers, by family. Paul, it was an awesome demonstration. I mean, you had control for the whole day, it looked like.
It wasn't the demonstration that I wanted it to be. Obviously, we were just trying to maintain our lead. And we did the last pit stop, and they said, we're not going to make it. We got to pit. You need a 25-second lead. And at the time, I think we had 10 or 11 seconds. So I just drove like crazy. I brushed the wall once, just really drove like crazy to pull out that lead. And then by the time we came in for the last pit stop, got back out, my tires were done. I was just hanging on till the end.
Paul, I don't know whether you can sense the support you have here, but the support from the crowd, the noise for the Canadians, particularly for you two, I mean, that's just got to make you feel good. What's it like to know you have that type of emotional support?
Well, this is why I stay in Champ Car, and this is why I want to be here, is because we race in Canada, and this is where I'm from, and this is where I love to race. And to have 3 races here and potentially a 4th next year this is why I do it.
Hey, they were pretty awesome donuts we saw you do down there. Then you stalled it, but at least you gave a chance to wave to the crowd.
Yeah, I stalled it. I got lost in the smoke.
Let's have a look at the trophies right here. Look at this. First place, Molson Indy 2004. What an awesome display by the Players Forsyth team.
28th career victory for the defending series champion. Paul Tracy makes a statement here today, but a big day for the Rousport team. What a reaction by team owner Carl Russo as his boys came off the final corner.
I think that was the same move that Jourdain did off his car.
Team choreography. And we heard Michel Jourdain talk about how baby brings good luck. Gave his wife a celebratory kiss on the tummy a little earlier. Crowd watching from some of the high-rise apartment buildings around the race course here at Pacific Place, the False Creek Circuit, second iteration of the racetrack here in the 15th annual Champ Car Grand Prix at Vancouver. Let's take you through the final running order. Tracy, your winner. Jourdain in second. Allmendinger runs third. A two-podium finish today for the Rousport team. Bruno Junqueira and Sebastien Bourdais for Newman Haas run fourth and fifth. Mario Dominguez for Herdez Competition comes home in sixth position here today. Alex Tagliani for Rocket Sports in seventh. Not a bad day.
Not at all. He was in the middle of the race. He was really happy with his car and was moving forward. But the way the pit stops, I think they maybe did a short fill in the middle of that one. Whatever it was, they ended up about where they started.
Roberto Gonzalez, Justin Wilson run 13th and 14th. Last cars in action. They got Wilson back on the racetrack after a couple of mechanical problems today. Levine, a heartbreaker. He finished out of the money.
Welcome back. You're watching the Molson Indy Vancouver.
Place. Champagne all around, and I'm sure that's the expensive stuff here, right?
Yeah, no doubt. AJ showing rookie, when they bring that up there, it's already open, so that whoever gets their hands on it first, or the guy who gets it last, loses. And AJ was a little slow off the upstart there, and consequently, he's the wettest of the bunch.
There you go, and that is, that's a rite of passage for a young driver like AJ Allmendinger. Tracy's been through it many times. Jourdain with 2 career wins. He knows what it's all about, but AJ Allmendinger, he got it in his eyes. So there's the mark of a guy who's new to the Champ Car World Series. Quite an afternoon here in Vancouver. Certainly very entertaining racing and a terrific run for Paul Tracy today. And we hope you enjoyed our coverage, which concludes now the Champ Car World Series from Vancouver. Hope you can be with us the rest of the season, and in 2 weeks, Sunday, August 8th, we'll resume with coverage of the Champ Car World Series from Road America in Elkhart Lake, Wisconsin, the Champ Car Grand Prix of Wisconsin in 2 weeks. For Derek Daly and Bill Adam, Bronte Tagliani, and Tommy Kendall, I'm Rick Benjamin, congratulating our winner, series champion Paul Tracy. Thanks for watching. So long from Vancouver, British Columbia.